The scout ship Starlight Seeker drifted silently through the darkness of space. Inside, lead scientist Duha stared at his screen with his 4 eyes wide open. He blinked several times, then rubbed them with his delicate fingers. The readings couldn't be right. "Captain," he called out, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." The small research vessel had been mapping this sector of space for the past 3 cycles, looking for potential colony worlds for the Galactic Federation. What they found instead made Duha's pale blue skin turn almost white with shock. The planet before them was a swirling mass of blue, white, and green. Beautiful, but terrifying. The computer readings showed conditions that should make life impossible. Massive temperature swings from freezing to boiling, crushing gravity nearly twice what most species could survive, and radiation levels that would kill a normal being in days. "This can't be correct," Duha muttered, tapping his screen. "The atmosphere is filled with corrosive oxygen. The magnetic field is incredibly strong, and there are active volcanoes everywhere." The ship's captain, an older female named Yanhua, floated over to his station. Her long, silvery hair drifted in the zero gravity as she looked at the readings. "Run the tests again," she ordered, her face serious. Duha did as commanded, but the results came back the same. He was about to suggest they mark this as another dead world when something caught his eye. "Wait." He zoomed in on one of the continents. Those are artificial structures." The entire bridge crew fell silent. Duha's hands shook as he enhanced the image. There were cities, huge ones. Roads crisscrossed the landmasses like webs. Ships sailed across the deadly oceans. Flying machines cut through the corrosive air. "Impossible," Yanhua whispered. "Nothing could evolve in these conditions. Nothing could survive here." But the evidence was right in front of them. Duha switched to thermal imaging, and the planet lit up with signs of advanced civilization. Billions of heat signatures moved about their daily lives, completely unbothered by conditions that would kill most species in minutes. "Look at this," Duha said, pointing to a particularly shocking reading. "There are settlements in regions where the temperature drops below freezing, and others in areas hot enough to cook food. Some of these cities are built right next to active volcanoes." The science officer, Mireille, spoke up from her station. "The gravity alone should make it impossible for large creatures to exist. The energy required to simply move would be. They have swimming areas in their deathwater oceans." Another crew member added in horror, "They go into the water for fun." Duha saved every reading, every scan, every piece of data they could gather. The Federation would never believe this without proof. A civilization had not only survived but thrived on what should be an impossible world. "There's more," Mary said quietly, "based on atmospheric readings and geological data. I don't think they modified this planet to live here. I think they evolved here. This is their natural environment." The implications hit everyone at once. These creatures, whatever they were, had evolved on a world that the Federation classified as completely uninhabitable. Their bodies had developed under crushing gravity, their lungs processed corrosive gases, their cells somehow resisted radiation that would destroy most life forms. "What do we call them?" Yanhua asked, staring at the beautiful but deadly planet below. Duha checked the electromagnetic signals they were picking up from the surface. The beings called their planet Earth and themselves. "They're called humans," he said, the strange word feeling odd in his mouth. "Send a message to Federation Command," Yanhua ordered. "Mark it highest priority. We've discovered intelligent life on a Class X death world. I repeat, intelligent life on a death world." As Duha prepared the message, he couldn't help but wonder, what kind of creatures were these humans? What kind of species could look at a world of fire, ice, poison, and death, and call it home? The answer, he suspected, would change the galaxy forever. 3 days after the initial discovery, a larger Federation research ship called Knowledge Seeker arrived in Earth's orbit. Captain Jaiwan watched through the main viewport as their advanced cloaking systems activated, making them invisible to Earth's detection systems. Status report. Jai-1 ordered, her silvery skin reflecting the blue glow of Earth below. Harrim, the ship's xenobiologist, looked up from his station. His hands trembled slightly as he read the data. Captain, I've been studying the humans for the past 6 hours. They're incredible and terrifying. The main screen lit up with images from their observation drones. The crew watched in silence as humans went about their daily lives in what the Federation considered impossible conditions. Look at this, Harrim pointed to one feed. These humans are in a place they call Death Valley. The temperature is high enough to kill most species, and they're taking pictures. They're treating it like a tourist destination. Another screen showed humans climbing frozen mountains with minimal protection. A third displayed people running long distances in the hot sun for something called a marathon. That's not the worst part, Harrim continued. We've observed their eating habits. They intentionally consume plants that cause pain. They call it spicy food. They drink bitter poison for enjoyment, something called coffee. Some even eat parts of their food after it has started to rot. Captain Jai-1 moved closer to the screens. What about their physical capabilities? Beyond anything we thought possible, Harrim replied. Their bones are incredibly dense. They have to be, to support movement in this gravity. Their muscles are compact powerhouses of strength, and their endurance. Captain, they can repair themselves while still moving. They call it healing while walking it off. The security officer, Sumin, spoke up from his station. Their children, their young ones play in ways that would kill our adults. They climb tall structures, jump from heights, and intentionally spin until they become dizzy. Their parents encourage this behavior. Jai-1 watched as the screen showed more human activities. In one area, humans were running into cold ocean waves, laughing. In another, they were jumping out of flying vehicles with only thin fabric to slow their fall. Their bodies are equally fascinating, Harrim added. They can survive the loss of entire limbs. Their bones can break and heal stronger. They can lose half their blood volume and survive. And their immune system, it doesn't just fight diseases, it remembers them. It gets stronger with each attack. The crew fell silent as they processed this information. These humans weren't just surviving on their death world. They were thriving on it. They had turned deadly conditions into entertainment. There's something else, Sumin said quietly. They sleep. They voluntarily become unconscious for hours every day. On a death world. How did they survive long enough to evolve such a trait? Captain Jai-1 sat in her command chair, thinking. The Federation had always believed that life would evolve to seek out the safest, most stable conditions. Yet here was a species that had evolved in hell and seemed to love it. New protocol, she announced. No one is to leave the ship without a full protective suit. No direct contact with humans or their environment. We need more data before we even consider first contact. As if to emphasize her point, one of the screens showed a human drinking something that was literally on fire. Some kind of entertainment at what they called a bar. Update Federation Command, Jai-1 ordered. Tell them we need to rethink everything we know about life in the galaxy. Because these humans, she paused, watching a group of young humans leaping from great heights into water for fun. These humans are something entirely new. Harrim nodded, still staring at his screens. They don't just survive here, he said softly. They love it here. They seek out the most dangerous parts of their world for something they call adventure. They're not trapped on a death world, Captain. This death world, it's exactly where they want to be. The crew continued their observations, both fascinated and terrified by the species that called this impossible world home. None of them knew it yet, but their discovery would soon change the galaxy's understanding of life itself. The observation posts were carefully hidden in what humans would consider the most unwelcoming places, the peaks of mountains, deep in deserts, and under the seas. Security officer Sumin had picked these locations because no human would think to look there. He was wrong. "Captain," Sumin called out in panic. "The humans are climbing the mountain. Again. They're getting close to post 3. Captain Jaiwan rushed to the main screen. Sure enough, a group of humans were scaling the nearly vertical rock face, secured only by thin ropes and small metal pieces wedged into cracks. They were laughing and taking pictures, completely unbothered by the thin air and freezing temperatures. "Move the post higher," she ordered, shaking her head. "What about the desert station?" "Worse," Sumin replied. "They're having some kind of race through the desert. Hundreds of them, running through the hottest part of the day. They call it an ultra-marathon. We had to hide the post underground." The crew of the Knowledge Seeker had spent the past week trying to observe humans without being noticed. It was proving much harder than expected. These Deathworlders had spread everywhere on their planet, treating the most hostile environments as playgrounds. Hayrim, who was studying human defense capabilities, brought up another screen. "You need to see this, Captain. I've been watching their combat training." The screen showed humans in what they called a gym. They were lifting heavy weights, punching bags, and sparring with each other. The aliens watched in horror as the humans deliberately struck each other in practice fights. "They train by actually hitting each other," Hayrim explained. "Their bodies are so durable that they can take repeated impacts for practice. And look at this, they have something called competitive eating. They turn the consumption of food into a contest of speed." Myre, who had been monitoring human communications, added her own report. "Their entertainment is just as shocking. They tell stories about things called zombies and monsters, threats that would terrify any normal species. But humans, they find these stories fun. They pay money to be scared." The observation feeds kept showing more surprising human activities. In one city, humans were running through streets being chased by angry bulls. In another, they were jumping off platforms attached to elastic cords. Someone had even built a spinning machine that simulated the feeling of falling from great heights. "What about their young?" Jaewon asked, remembering their earlier observations. Sumin brought up footage from a human school. Small humans were climbing on metal bars, chasing each other at high speeds, and engaging in various physical contests. When one fell and got hurt, they would often get up laughing. "Their children are nearly indestructible," Sumin said with amazement. "They bounce when they fall. Their bones heal in weeks. And look at this thing they call a playground. It's basically a training ground for dangerous activities." Captain Jaewon was about to respond when an alarm went off. One of their underwater posts had detected movement. "Now what?" she asked, dreading the answer. "Humans in something they call a submarine," Sumin reported. "They've built vessels to explore the crushing depths of their oceans. They're even planning to build permanent structures down there." The crew watched in silence as more reports came in. Humans climbing the highest peaks without oxygen tanks. Humans diving into caves filled with deadly gases. Humans strapping rockets to themselves to fly through the air. "I think I understand now," Hayrim said quietly. "We've been looking at this all wrong. We see their world as a death world because we evolved in safe, controlled environments. But to them, to humans, danger is not something to avoid. It's something to overcome." Jaewon nodded slowly. "Update the report to Federation Command. Tell them that attempting to quarantine humanity would be pointless. They live in conditions we consider unsurvivable. They explore areas we avoid. They turn deadly situations into sports." "Should we mention their space program?" Mireille asked nervously. "Yes," Jaewon replied. "The Federation needs to know. These humans aren't content with mastering their death world. They're already looking at the stars. And if they treat space like they treat their planet—" She left the thought unfinished. Everyone on the bridge knew what she meant. The galaxy was about to meet a species that had not only survived hell, they had turned it into their playground. Young researcher Ta Jin couldn't sleep. For 3 days, he had watched the human mountain climbing team set up their base camp near his observation post. They were planning to climb one of the most dangerous peaks on their planet. And they looked happy. He knew it was against every rule, but he had to understand. While the rest of the research team slept, Ta-Jin put on his protective suit and left the hidden post. The night was cold enough to kill most species, but the humans sat around something they called a campfire, sharing drinks and stories. Ta-Jin moved closer, his cloaking device making him invisible. "Look at that weird distortion in the air," one of the humans suddenly said, pointing directly at him. Ta-Jin froze. The human had spotted his cloaking field. He should run. He should call for emergency extraction. Instead, he watched in shock as the human stood up and walked toward him. "Hello," the human called out. "Is someone there?" The other humans were now staring in his direction. Their reactions surprised him. They didn't look afraid. They looked curious. In that moment, Ta-Jin made a decision that would change everything. He turned off his cloaking device. The humans gasped. Then, to his complete confusion, they smiled. "Would you like some coffee?" one of them asked, holding out a cup of the bitter black poison they enjoyed drinking. Back on the Knowledge Seeker, alarms were blaring. Captain Jai-1 rushed to the bridge, where the night crew was tracking Ta-Jin's position. "Get him back here now," she ordered, but it was too late. On the screen, they watched as Ta-Jin sat down with the humans. He was trying to explain where he came from, while the humans offered him various foods and drinks. None of them seemed bothered by his blue skin or 4 eyes. "Look at their vital signs," Harem said, checking the medical readings. "They're excited, but not afraid. Their stress levels are lower than ours." One of the humans, a young female, was showing Ta-Jin their climbing equipment. She even offered to let him try it. The research team watched in amazement as the humans patiently taught their alien visitor how to use a climbing harness. "This is a disaster," Sumin muttered. "The Federation will shut down our whole operation." But Captain Ji-1 was watching the scene thoughtfully. The humans were sharing their food, teaching Ta-Jin their language, and treating him like a welcome guest. When he told them about his research mission, they laughed and started pointing out mistakes in the observation post hiding place. "We've been up here 3 days," one human said. "We saw your post on the first day. We were waiting to see if you'd come say hello." The Federation's emergency protocols were clear. Any unauthorized contact required immediate quarantine of both species. But as Jai-1 watched the humans share their stories with Ta-Jin, she made a different choice. "Send a message to Federation Command," she ordered. Tell them first contact has been made. And it's nothing like we expected." Hours later, Ta-Jin returned to the ship. He was carrying several human items they had given him: a cup, a climbing carabiner, and a device they called a camera full of pictures. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking with excitement, "they want to meet all of us. They say they've known about alien life for years. They'd been waiting for us to show up." "How are they so calm about this?" Sumin asked. "We're from another world." "Because that's what humans do," Ta-Jin replied. "They climb mountains just to see what's on top. They dive into oceans just to know what's below. And when they meet aliens, they offer them coffee and teach them how to rock climb." The crew gathered around as Ta-Jin showed them the pictures, images of humans and an alien, sharing food and stories under the stars. The humans had even taught him something they called a fist bump. "The Federation won't like this," Sumin warned. "No," Jai-1 agreed. "They won't. But maybe that's exactly why we need these humans. They don't just survive the impossible. They welcome it." As if to prove her point, the humans below had already added meeting aliens to their trip log, right between mountain climbing and sunset photography. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson. On Earth, the impossible was just another Tuesday. The Federation Council meeting was in chaos. The large circular room was filled with representatives from 100 different worlds, all shouting at once. On the main screen was an image of Earth, labeled with big red letters, Kilas X DEATHWORLD. They must be contained, shouted one council member, his tentacles waving in alarm. These humans survive conditions that would kill any normal species. Captain J1 stood calmly at the center of the storm. Next to her, military officer Yunsuk watched the panic with growing concern. The humans are already aware of us, J1 explained again. They've been watching the stars for centuries. They'd been sending out radio signals, hoping someone would answer. That's even worse, another council member cried. A DEATHWORLD species actively looking for contact. They could be dangerous. Yunsuk stepped forward. With respect, council members, I studied their military capabilities. Yes, humans are incredibly tough. Yes, they can survive things that would kill us. But they're not violent by nature. They're curious. The council chamber's screens filled with images from Earth. Humans helping other humans after natural disasters. Humans caring for sick animals. Humans planting trees and cleaning oceans. Look at what they do with their strength, J1 said. They use it to protect the weak. They've turned their survival skills into rescue operations. Their space program isn't about conquest, it's about exploration. But many council members remained unconvinced. They had never encountered a species that evolved in such harsh conditions. The very idea terrified them. Just then, all the screens in the chamber lit up with a new signal. Earth's largest radio telescopes were picking up the Federation's transmissions. Hello, a human voice called out across space. We know you're up there. We've seen your ships. We come in peace. The council fell silent. The humans weren't supposed to be able to detect their communications, but somehow they had. They're more advanced than we thought, Yunsuk said quietly. They've already developed quantum communication technology. They're probably watching this meeting right now. As if to confirm his words, more human messages started coming in. They were in different languages, from different nations, but they all said similar things. We want to meet you. We come as friends. Let's talk. Don't you see? J1 asked the council. We can't contain them. They're already reaching for the stars. And they're doing it while living on a planet that should be impossible to survive on. One of the older council members, his crystalline form glittering, spoke up. Perhaps we're looking at this wrong. Our species evolved on safe worlds, so we sought out more safety. The humans evolved on a death world, so they learned to overcome everything that tried to kill them. Exactly, Yunsuk said. And now they want to share what they've learned. Their medical technology is incredible because they had to heal from terrible injuries. Their rescue techniques are amazing because they've always had to save each other from deadly situations. The council chamber's mood began to shift. The fear was still there, but now there was also curiosity. After all, any species that could turn a death world into a thriving civilization might have something to teach them. I propose a compromise, J1 said. Instead of trying to contain humanity, let's learn from them. They've mastered survival in conditions we thought impossible. Imagine what we could achieve together. More human messages kept coming in. They were sharing their music now, their art, their stories. They were reaching out with open hands, not raised weapons. Very well, the council leader finally said. We will not quarantine Earth. Instead, we will establish official first contact. But Captain J1, your team will be responsible for managing this relationship. J1 smiled. She had already known the humans would win the council over. After all, that's what humans did. They faced the impossible, and they turned it into opportunity. As she left the council chamber, her communicator beeped. The humans had sent another message. We've prepared a welcome party. We hope you like pizza. Yunsuk looked at her questioningly. It's food, she explained. Apparently, They celebrate everything with food, even meeting aliens. Humans, Jai-1 said with a laugh, celebrate everything, especially the impossible. Harrim stood in front of a room full of Federation scientists. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady as he presented his findings about humans. Behind him, the screen showed his newest paper titled The Pressure Cooker Theory of Human Evolution. "We've been wrong about everything," he began. "We thought perfect worlds made perfect species, but humans prove the opposite is true." The room was silent as Harrim showed videos of human activities: a firefighter running into a burning building to save a child, a doctor working for 2 days straight during an emergency, a rescue team diving into frozen water to save strangers. "Look at their history," Harrim continued. "Every time something tried to kill humans, they didn't just survive. They got stronger. Their planet threw ice ages at them, so they learned to make fire. Diseases attacked them, so their immune systems became incredible. Predators hunted them, so they learned to hunt better." One of the scientists raised a hand. "But how did they survive long enough to evolve these traits?" Harrim smiled. "That's the amazing part. Humans don't evolve to avoid challenges. They evolve to beat them. When they're cold, they don't grow fur. They build heated homes. When they can't fly, they don't grow wings. They build flying machines." He switched to new images: human cities in deserts, in frozen wastelands, in dense jungles. Most species look for comfortable places to live. Humans look at the most dangerous places and say, "How can we live here?" The next slide showed human medical facilities. Their healing abilities aren't just biological. They actively study how to fix themselves. They can replace lost limbs with mechanical ones. They can take organs from one human and put them in another. They can even change their own genes. A murmur of shock went through the room. Genetic self-modification was something most species considered too dangerous to attempt. "But here's the most important part," Harrim said, showing a graph. "Every other species in the Federation evolved in nearly perfect conditions: stable gravity, comfortable temperatures, no dangerous predators. We thought this was the only way intelligence could develop." He paused for effect. "We were wrong. Humans evolved because of their harsh conditions, not despite them. Their intelligence, their strength, their incredible will to survive, it all came from living on what we call a death world." In the back of the room, Captain Jai-1 watched proudly. Next to her, a human doctor named Jun-Ho was trying not to laugh at the Federation scientists' shocked faces. "Would you like to tell them about sports?" Jai-1 whispered to Jun-Ho. "You mean how we run marathons for fun?" Jun-Ho grinned. "Or how we climb mountains because they're there. Maybe later." They look scared enough already. Harrim was now showing brain scans. Human brains release reward chemicals when they overcome challenges. They actually feel good about doing difficult things. They seek out problems to solve. They make games out of survival training. The Federation scientists were taking notes frantically. One of them asked, "But what about their tendency to help others? Wouldn't their harsh world encourage selfishness?" "Another thing we got wrong," Harrim explained. "Humans survived because they worked together. They're strong alone, but they're unstoppable when they help each other. They risk their lives for strangers. They share food during famines. They run into danger to save others." Jun-Ho stepped forward then, walking to the front of the room. The Federation scientists stared at him, still amazed that he could move so easily in their higher-than-Earth gravity. "You keep calling our world a death world," Jun-Ho said kindly. "But to us, it's just home. Every challenge made us better. Every problem taught us something new. And now we want to share what we've learned." Harrim nodded. "That's the final point of my paper. Humans don't just survive. They help others survive too. They're not a threat to the Federation. They're exactly what we need." As the Federation scientists crowded around Jun-Ho with questions, Captain Jai-1 smiled. The galaxy was finally starting to understand. Humans weren't dangerous because they came from a death world. They were incredible because they had turned a death world into a cradle of hope. The Federation's main space station wasn't built for humans. That became clear when Minji, the first human athletic officer, accidentally broke another chair. It was the third one this week. "Sorry," she called out to the maintenance crew. "I keep forgetting about the lightweight materials you use." The alien workers just waved cheerfully. They were used to it by now. In the 3 months since humans had joined the Federation, everyone had learned to make changes. Officer Minji, a young alien, called out. It was one of her students, a creature that looked like a cross between a cat and a butterfly. "Can you show us the lifting thing again?" Minji smiled. Word had spread quickly about human strength, and now she taught regular classes about human physical capabilities. She walked over to a cargo container that the aliens used anti-gravity fields to move. "Remember," she said, "humans evolved in high gravity. We're naturally strong." She lifted the container without any technology helping her. The alien students gasped and clapped their forehands. In another part of the station, Herr Rim was working with human doctors. They were teaching Federation medical teams about human healing techniques. "You mean you actually let the bone break heal on its own?" one alien doctor asked in shock. "With some help," the human doctor explained. "But yes, human bones grow back stronger where they break. We call it adaptive healing." The Federation was learning many things from humans: how to build better rescue equipment, how to make stronger emergency shelters, how to survive in conditions they once thought impossible. But humans were learning too. The Federation showed them new ways to travel through space, new types of energy, new medicines that could cure diseases humans had fought for centuries. In the station's main control room, Captain Jaiwan watched it all with pride. Next to her, Security Officer Sumin was reading reports from other Federation worlds. 5 more planets want human rescue teams, Sumin said. "They say humans can reach places their own people can't. And 3 space stations have requested human engineering crews." "What about the recovery mission to Zeta 9? Jaiwan asked. "The humans finished in half the expected time," Sumin replied. "They called the acid storms, a bit tricky, but got all the survivors out safely." Just then, alarms started blaring. A Federation mining station was having problems with its gravity controls. The artificial gravity was now 3 times stronger than normal. "All non-emergency personnel must evacuate," the computer announced. But on the screen, they watched as the human maintenance crew ran toward the problem instead of away from it. The high gravity didn't bother them. It was still lighter than Earth's. "Typical humans," Sumin laughed. "Everyone else runs from danger. They run toward it." In the station's recreation area, more changes were happening. Humans had introduced their foods, their music, their games. Now aliens were trying things like spicy food challenges and dance competitions. Some aliens had even started doing human exercises. They couldn't match human strength, but they found that training like humans made them stronger and healthier. "Watch this," Minji called out to her students. She started doing one-armed push-ups, something that amazed the aliens every time. "This is how we train on Earth. Who wants to try?" The alien students crowded around, eager to learn. They had discovered that while they couldn't match human physical abilities, they could learn human determination. "The Federation Council wants to know if we should make more stations human-compatible," Sumin told Jaiwan. "Tell them yes," Jaiwan replied. "But not just for the humans. Everyone benefits from learning to be a little stronger, a little braver." She watched as Minji taught her alien students about something called yoga. The aliens were discovering that their bodies could do more than they thought possible. In the medical bay, human doctors were showing alien healers how to set broken bones. In the engineering section, humans were teaching others how to work without anti-gravity tools. In the kitchens, humans were showing aliens how to cook without automatic systems. "You know what's funny?" Sumin said. "We were so afraid of humans because they came from a death world. But that's exactly why we needed them. Jai-1 nodded. Everywhere she looked, she saw humans and aliens working together, learning from each other. The humans were teaching the galaxy that difficulties made you stronger, that challenges made you better, that sometimes a death world could produce exactly the kind of life the universe needed. 1 year after first contact, Captain Jai-1 stood in the Federation Council chamber again. This time, she wasn't defending humanity. She was celebrating them. Earth is no longer classified as a death world, she announced to the packed room. From today, it is officially known as the Cradle of Resilience. The chamber erupted in applause. Even the council members who had once feared humans were clapping with all their hands, tentacles, or appendages. On the main screen, images showed the changes of the past year. Human Federation joint teams were exploring dangerous planets that no one had dared to visit before. Human rescue techniques had saved thousands of lives. Human medical knowledge had improved Federation hospitals. But the humans haven't just taught us how to survive, Jai-1 continued. They've taught us how to live. The screen changed to show new images. Alien children playing human sports with safety equipment. Federation scientists learning human-style rock climbing. Space station crews practicing emergency procedures the human way, by actually doing them instead of just running simulations. In the front row, Harim sat with his human friend Jun-Ho. They had just finished writing their 10th paper together about human biology. Their latest discovery showed that some Federation species could develop Earth-like resilience through careful training. Remember when they thought we were too dangerous to contact? Jun-Ho whispered to Harim. Now they think you're too valuable to lose. Harim replied with a smile. The screen showed more images. A new type of Federation ship, built with both human and alien technology. It could land on harsh planets that older ships couldn't handle. The design team was led by Minji, who had gone from breaking chairs to designing spaceships. Humans have changed how we see the universe, Jai-1 said. They've shown us that barriers are meant to be overcome, that problems are opportunities to grow stronger. She pressed a button, and a new image appeared. It was Earth, but now it was surrounded by Federation stations. Ships moved back and forth, carrying humans and aliens working together. But perhaps the most important thing they've taught us is this. Jai-1 paused, looking around the room. No world is truly a death world if you face its challenges together. The next images showed the newest Federation project, colonies on worlds that were once considered too dangerous. Human experts worked with alien engineers to build safe homes in impossible places. They called it Project New Earth. In the medical section of the presentation, alien doctors were using human-inspired treatments. They had learned that sometimes letting a body heal itself made it stronger. They called it the human method. Even Federation sports had changed. New games combined human strength with alien agility. Children of both species played together, learning from each other's abilities. And now, Jai-1 announced, I'm proud to present our newest initiative, the Federation Resilience Academy. The screen showed a huge new station orbiting Earth. It was a school where humans would teach other species their survival skills, while learning alien technology and science. Students will learn human rescue techniques, Federation technology, Earth medicine, and alien science, Jai-1 explained. They'll learn to combine the best of all our worlds. In the back of the room, Sumin watched with pride. His security teams now included humans and aliens working together. They were stronger than either species alone. But the greatest lesson, Jai-1 said, wrapping up her speech, isn't about survival. It's about hope. Humans taught us that no challenge is too big if you're willing to face it. No problem is too hard if you're willing to try. The final image showed a human and alien child playing together on a Federation station. They were building something with blocks, helping each other reach higher. 1 year ago, we thought we'd found a species too dangerous to contact, Jai-1 concluded. Instead, we found the teachers we never knew we needed. Earth isn't a death world. It's a world that shows us how to truly live. The applause was deafening. In just 1 year, humanity had changed the galaxy's view of what was possible. They had turned fear into friendship, danger into opportunity, and a death world into a beacon of hope. As the ceremony ended, Jai-Wan's communicator beeped. It was a message from Earth, ready to explore some new impossible worlds. She smiled and typed back, with humans leading the way. Nothing's impossible anymore.